Mia, formerly of the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, and now a solid member of our home group. Yay, Mia! Woo.
Hi everybody, my name is Mia and I'm an addict.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna have an anxiety attack. As Mike said, I moved here 2 years ago from Reno. I grew up in a small town about 30 miles east of Reno, Fernley. I grew up on a ranch. So it was I had a really good childhood. My parents were really strict, and they brought us up to have good morals and values. And graduated from high school, and we did the whole thing, the 4-H thing. We had horses, we showed animals, livestock, and it was really a lot of fun. The first time that I ever used drugs was just out of high school. I was a freshman in college, and I had a cousin who was a dealer, and he had whatever you wanted, but he always watched over us. And I tried a few things, but it didn't do anything for me. I didn't like stuff going up my nose, and it didn't interest me at all. And to jump from that, I was in college for. I left college when I had 1 semester left, and I dropped out because of a guy. Of course, he was my first boyfriend, and when I was 19, my mom passed away. Well, before my mom passed away, my sister passed away in a car accident when I was 14, and I didn't know how to deal with that. I was angry and didn't understand, and I was mad at God. It's like, how can you take my sister? And then 5 years after that, my mom had passed away, and I was 19, and I was really angry, and I didn't know how to grieve. I didn't know how to deal with it. So we started partying, and drinking and going to discos and, doing the thing. And that's how old I am, discos, right? And, we had a lot of fun. We never hurt anybody, or we never got hurt, thank God for that. And, I did that because I couldn't deal with not having my mom. It's like, how can I live without her? And it was really hard for me. And everybody was grieving in my family. So that's why I did the partying thing. And that lasted about 6 months, because it got old for me. And I got really scared one time because I was working, and after work, a couple of my friends and I went down to the bar, and we were drinking tequila, and that was my thing. I liked tequila with the bud back. That's what I liked. And I don't remember. I woke up the next morning at home, and that was about 30 miles away. I didn't even know how I got there, and it really scared me. I guess it's a blackout. It was really scary. So after that, I really, really slowed down, because I didn't, what everybody was going through, I didn't want to add to everybody else's grief. And anyhow, 2 weeks after my mom passed, I have a lot of people upstairs. A lot of people. There's been a lot of death in my family. 2 weeks after my mom passed away, my grandma died. She has heart disease, had a heart attack, and she was my mom's mom. And then my boyfriend, who's supposed to be there for me and love me and, you know, be supportive, he left because my dad didn't like him and all this other bullshit. But, you know, it was just crazy. It was crazy. And this guy, you know, I loved him, really loved him, and with all my heart and with all my soul. And when that happened, you know, I told myself, I said, I will never love another man ever again like that. And I never did. Never did. I carried that relationship, that memory, that pain all the way up until, actually, almost until the present. And anyhow, I got married to my first husband, which was a mistake. It was an abusive, mentally abusive relationship, and it started to get physical, and I said, I'm out of here. I told him, I said, you might kick my ass, but I'm gonna get one good hit in on you. And I did, you know. And anyhow, I left him, and I wasn't in college anymore, obviously, and I was just working. My outlet for, you know, these deaths that were in my life is I'm a runner. I used to run. That was my outlet. And I run all the way up until, for a long, long time, until my, you know, into my adult life, and for a long time. And music was really helped me to get through things. I'm stuck in the 60s and 70s. That's the kind of music I like, classic rock, you know. And it helps me, you know, when I get pissed off or whatever, I get in my car and drive and I turn that radio on, and it helps me to think. It calms me down. And it's funny because when I work my steps, I have that radio on listening to music, you know, and I can write because it helps me to think, because that was another outlet for me. And working out, you know, worked out a lot. And everything I did it was either all or nothing. That's how I was. That's the kind of addict that I am. If I liked something, I took it to the extreme. You know, as far as moderation, I don't even know what that word means. You know, it was either, you know, all or nothing with me. But I met my second husband, and we got married, and he got a job in Las Vegas. So we moved to Las Vegas. And I had a job, and I was married to him for a year. And then I found out that he was an addict. I didn't know that. And one day I was doing laundry, putting clothes away, and I opened his drawer, you know, to put his clothes away. And all these pill bottles came rolling out. And I thought, what the hell is this? You know, so I looked at the bottles, and they were all for pain. All of them were for pain. So I called my friend, who's my husband now. I called him and I asked him, because my ex-husband used to work for him, so he knew, you know. I asked him, I said, you know, I said, I found all these. I go, Jim has all these pill bottles, and I don't know what's going on. So, you know, he asked me to read them, and they were all for different dates, different doctors, different amounts, and for different pills. It was all pain medication. And he goes, Mia, didn't you know he's an addict? And I said, no. You know, and Mike was my best friend. Break my husband's anonymity, but his name is Mike. He was my best friend, you know, and I go, why didn't you tell me? So I was really mad. And I thought, I can't deal with this. I don't want to have an addict for a husband. And I was pissed off because he was sneaking around behind my back. And I always wondered why he would call in sick for work and just be sick. You know, he'd be sick in bed. And then I'd go to work and come home and he's fine. was like, how did you get better so fast? You know, I was stupid. I didn't know. And so when I was at work, apparently he went out and scored some pills. You know, so he was all better then. So, so when he, you know, I was going to leave him. I packed up all my shit, and he came home, and on our little coffee table, I had all those pill bottles sitting on there. There was like maybe, I don't know, 15 of them. And it's like, why didn't he just throw them away? But I didn't do that either. But anyway, he had them all lined up. And I was sitting in the dark, and I was ready to go. I was going back to Reno. And he walked in, and his eyes got all big. He was all shocked, and I said, so what the fuck is this? You know, and I go, why? I go, what's going on with you? You know, and he told me he used to play football, and in high school, he hurt his knee, and I guess I don't know, something with his knee, and he got addicted. And he graduated in 76, and this is like 92. So he was addicted the whole time, or using the whole time. And I was more upset that he didn't tell me. So anyway, he cried and begged and said he'll never do it again, and that was the last time, and played, you know, ran that game on me, you know, and I felt bad, and I didn't want to lose him because I loved him. So I gave in and stayed with him. So as you guys know, you can't have one clean and one dirty. It doesn't work that way. Either everybody's clean or everybody's dirty. So to make a long story short, eventually I started using with him because I had surgery, and they gave me all these pain pills, and I went to work and I left my pain pills at home. And by this time he'd already lost his job. I left them at home in the drawer, and I forgot to take them with me. And it was a big giant bottle like that, you know, and it was full because I wasn't using then. And I came home, and he'd taken almost all of them. There was probably about that many left. And I was pissed, you know, and I said, those are for me. Those are because I have pain, you know. And I said, you're just taking them to get high. And I said, what is it about these pills? You know, how do they make you high? You know, so he turned me out on them, showed me how to take them to get loaded. And from then on, I never felt that high again. You know how we chase highs? We chase them because we want that feeling, you know, and it felt good. You know, and after that it was on. You know, I started using sporadically, slowly, but I started using with him. And it got really bad. You know, we were fighting all the time, and he couldn't hold a job, and when I was going through withdrawals, I was pissed off at him and blaming him. It's like, you're the one that made me sick, you know, so you better get your ass out there and go get some for me. And don't come home until you do. And he would. You know, I don't know where, but he would. And that went on for a couple of years, and he got arrested. He got arrested because he had a friend in California who was a dentist, and he stole the prescription pad. And I don't know, he had this big old fine or whatever. And he went to prison for about 8 months. And while he was in there, I didn't know anything about a program, NA. I knew about AA, but I wasn't into drinking. Drinking wasn't my thing. And I didn't have any idea, so I just quit using. I quit taking the pills the whole time he was in there. And so when he got out, he stayed clean for a little while, but then it all went back to the way it was, you know, and bless you.
Thanks.
And I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to live like that. So I told him, I said, I can't can't do this. You know, I said, I don't want to be sick anymore. I don't want my life to be this way. So I used with him for about 2 years, and then I left him. And I got a divorce, and Mike, my husband now, he was my best friend. I met him when I was 24 years old. I'm 55 now, but I'd known him for a long, long time. He was my best friend, so we got together. And before I married him, I told him, you know, that I was taking pills with Jim, you know, because I wanted to be honest and upfront, so that way I opened the door. You know, it's like, if you don't want to marry me, that's fine, because I understand, you know. So anyhow, my husband is not like us. He's a normie, as Mike said. You know, but he's a really good guy. You know, he loves me and takes care of me and treats me really good. And it's hard to have a good man when you've had all the shitty ones. You know what I mean? Well, the women know. You guys know. You know, I've had an alcoholic, an addict, and it's like, my gosh. You know, and then all the ones, well, not all the ones, but, you know, the ones that were in between that. You know, it's hard to have a good man when you've had all the bad ones. But anyway, in 2005, gosh, I don't know if I can talk for a whole another hour. In 2005, I didn't use the whole time. But in 2005, it was in September, I was sitting around with one of my friends. She likes to smoke dope. She smokes weed. And I had a hell of a headache that day, you know, and I told her, she goes, what's wrong with you? And I said, I have a headache, you know, and she goes, well, just take a couple drags off this and it'll go away. And I've never liked weed, never liked it. I don't like the way it feels. I just don't like it. And I said, no, I said, I'm not gonna do that. But she goes, I go, if I had some pain pills, I'd take it away. And I was just joking, you know. And she goes, well, I have some, you know, and she had Vicodin. And that was my drug of choice. So she gave me 2, and she goes, now Mia, she goes, just take a half, you know, because, you know, these are really strong. You know, and I remember how many I used to take when I was using with my ex-husband. And I took them both. And it felt good. I'm not gonna lie. It felt good. And I told her, well, she gave me a few more. And then I left. And at first, it started out sporadically. You know, and I was like, I can do this. I can handle this. It's all under control. You know, and boy, I tell you, that was September of 2005. By January 2006, I was strung out. And you know, and my disease progressed so fast that I couldn't believe it. You know, it was like I never stopped. You know, and it was crazy. It got to where I needed them every day, you know, just to function, just to make it through the day. And I stayed a secret. Nobody knew, because I was a functioning addict. You know, I could multitask. You know, I could get stuff done. You know, everything was good. You know, I could do everything. My house was always clean, and, you know, cleaning the walls, and I had a new house and I'm cleaning the walls. You know, it was really crazy. I was really obsessive compulsive, bad, you know. And I used to, you know, even before I was using, before I started, I lived a very controlled life. because I controlled it. You know, not my husband, because I would never try to do that to him, but he wouldn't let me anyway. But I lived my life by the clock. You know, everything I did was by the clock. And if someone came into my day who wasn't supposed to be there, it would mess me all up, you know, because I was so in control and just meticulous about everything in my life. I love to control people. If you'd let me, I can fix you, I can control you, just do what I say, you know, and they would, and I loved it. You know, and that's crazy. But, you know, that's how I was. I also had a lot of friends, you know, but when I was using, I couldn't do anything. Someone would call me to want to go have coffee. You know, it's like, okay, well, give me a couple hours. And I'd go score, and then I could meet them. You know, it was really scary. It was really scary because towards the end, which was in August, towards the end, I started to feel really shitty because I turned into that person I despised. You know, it was like my morals and values were straight out the window. I was so selfish and so self-centered. I did not care. You know, I couldn't multitask anymore unless I had something, you know, and it wasn't about getting loaded anymore. It was about making it through the day, you know, and I tried to quit on my own. I lasted a day and a half, you know, and I could not handle it. I tried to wean myself. You know, that's crazy. It's like, oh, well, I'll just take 10 pills instead of 8, you know, or whatever. You know, it doesn't work. You know, I tried to do it on my own. And, when I was telling you guys about my husband, when I told him that I was when I was taking pills, he told me, he goes, if I ever catch you taking pills, that's it. You know, so when I was all strung out and everything, I wanted to tell him so bad, but I had that fear of him leaving me, you know, and I would lose my boys and I would lose my family, and I didn't want that to happen. That's why I stayed a secret. You know, nobody knew, and I didn't use with anybody because I'm not sharing my stuff with anybody. I mean, it's hard enough to get them, you know, but it's funny because for alcoholics, you can just go to the store. For me, it's all about strategy. You know, I mean, I could make shit happen. If I wanted them, I could get them. You know, and the doctors were handing them out back then, you know, like candy. I'd go to my doctor, walking all hunched over my back, you know, just, you know, playing the game, you know, and I was stealing from my friends. If I'd go to their house, I'd go straight to their bathroom and take all their shit in there. Just the pain medication. I didn't care about anything else. But I turned into a thief and a liar, you know, and manipulator. Lie to my husband all the time, you know, and him and I have always been close. We always talk about everything. I trusted him and he trusted me, and all that stuff went out the window. You know, he still didn't know. But one time I was at my sister's house, or I was with my sister, and we were playing bingo, because I like bingo. And it was time for my dose, right? And I just got some pills. I scored some pills. I started buying them because I was too scared of going to jail through the doctors. So I started buying them from this guy. Anyhow, I go, I have a headache, you know, trying to play it off like she's dumb. And I reach in my purse and I'm getting pills, and she goes, I have a headache too. She goes, can I have one? And I was like, fuck. I told her, I go, no, because the doctor gave these to me. They're really special pills. You know, and she was okay. You know, she kind of looked at me, she goes, okay, but she knew that I used with my ex-husband. You know, so I thought, damn, she knows. So a couple days later, she told my husband, and this was in August, and this is the time when I was ready. You know, I wanted to quit, but I didn't know how. I wanted to go somewhere, but I didn't know where. There's a place on the way home to my house. It's called the Amano Club. It's just like this one. They have AA meetings there, and NA. But I used to drive past there, and I wanted to stop. You know, but I thought they're AA. You know, I can't get help from them. You know, and I drive past there and, you know, be taking pills and crying, you know, because I felt like my spirit was gone. I just felt like a shell walking around just, you know, doing the motions. And it was so hard, because when I didn't have any, my husband was working and I'd have to make dinner and, you know, try to act like I'm not sick. You know, that's really hard. Trying to hide shit, you know. I'd go feed him and, you know, he'd be watching TV and then I'd leave and go in the living room and watch TV or whatever. But it was really hard to play that game, you know, and I was tired of it. And I felt like shit inside. You know, I was spending all kinds of money and it was, you know, it was really bad. And I would cry, you know, sit on my couch and cry and think about my parents, think about the old days, the way it used to be when I was young, you know, and just, it was horrible. It was horrible. And I knew I was at my end, you know, so I was really, so anyways, when my sister told my husband is very, Mike and Melody kind of know him. He's very black and white. It's this way or it's that way. There's no in between. He does not like games. He doesn't like bullshit. You know, he's very upfront and honest. You know, that's the way he is. You know, and I love that about him because I like people who don't sidestep. It's like, if you got something to say, just fucking say it. You know, don't, you know, bullshit around. I don't like that. And he doesn't either, you know, but I did that to him. So he come home from work one day and he's not one to piss off, basically. He came home from work and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm all happy because, you know, I just bought a whole bunch of pills and everything, so I'm all happy. And he walks in and he goes, "We gotta talk." And I was like, oh shit. And I was really scared, and I could just have this feeling just go through my body of fear, you know. And so I walked in the bedroom and I go, okay, let's talk. And he asked me, he goes, "Are you taking pills?" You know, and the first thing that comes to my mind is to lie. Because I'm a liar, you know. I go, "No." And something inside said, it's time. It's time. And I said, yes. And he goes, "How bad is it?" And I said, "I need them every day. Just to function, just to make it through the day." And he goes, "Are you getting high?" And I said, "No, not anymore. They don't make me high anymore. No matter how many I took, it would not make me high." And I don't understand how people overdose on pain pills. I mean, because I was taking tons of them. I don't get that, but anyway, I surrendered on that day. He was pissed off, you know, and I was crying and stuff, and he goes, "We're gonna get you help." He goes, "We're gonna get you help this time." And he asked me, he goes, "Do you have any now?" you know, and I have all these pills, and, you know, I didn't want to tell him, you know, I didn't want to, I go, well, yeah. He goes, where are they? I used to hide them under the rug in my dining room, you know, because I clean the house, he doesn't. He picks up the, it's funny now, it wasn't then, but he picks up the rug, and there's like all these pills. And he picks them all up, and he has them in his hand, and he's going to the bathroom, he's going to flush them. And I told him, I said, you probably don't want to do that. See, because I'm a heart patient. And, you know, when I was telling you guys that I was trying to do it on my own, I was so afraid that when he came home, I'd be dead from a heart attack or something, you know. I could justify. But anyway, he was going to flush them, and I told him, I said, you probably don't want to do that. I said, because I need those. I said, I'm afraid that I might have a heart attack. And he goes, well, let's call your doctor. So I called my cardiologist, and I went straight to the hospital. And told my doctor everything that was going on. And he goes, it's a good thing, you know, that you didn't try to go through the withdrawals on your own, because you probably would have died. You know, and they ran a bunch of tests on me, and, you know, for your liver, because of the Tylenol and the pain pills. But so I stayed in the hospital for a couple of days. Bless you. I stayed in the hospital for a couple of days, and then after that, my doctor had a friend who worked in a detox place, and he called him up, and I went straight from, I was really scared, you know, because I didn't think I could live without taking them. And, you know, but my disease progressed so fastly, you know, from September to August, I was strung out really bad. And so we're on the way to the detox place, and they said, well, you know, bring some clothes and everything. You know, I was in the hospital for a couple of days, but on the way there, I told my husband, I go, well, let's go tomorrow, you know, because I was scared. Can't we just wait a couple days, you know? And he goes, no, we're going now. He goes, I'll go home and get your clothes. And I said, okay. And I was terrified. You know, it was scary for me. And so I went into this place, and the second day, or they did all their medical stuff and all this shit, but I had a counselor in there, you know, she talked to me and everything, and I told her, you know, what was going on. And on the second day is they gave me the basic text, and they told me to read it. You know, they go, this will help you. So I started reading the basic text, and they gave me methadone. It was a drink for the withdrawals. And then I found out that each day they give you less and less and less and less. And then on the last day, I guess you just get, it's nothing. They mix it with juice or something. But anyway, on the second days, they gave me basic text, and you know, I stayed up all night reading it, you know, and because I couldn't put it down. And there's stories in the back, and I was trying to find a story of somebody who had my problem with opiates, and there was a story in there about a doctor, you know, and I could really relate. And so when my husband came to see me the next day, my family was trying to see me, and I didn't want to see anybody because I was so ashamed and so full of pain and guilt and just horrible. I felt horrible inside. You know, I'd walk with my head down. I wouldn't look at anybody, you know. And the second day my husband came to see me, and I gave him that book. And I told him, I said, you need to read this book. I said, it'll help you to understand me It'll help you to understand addiction, the disease of addiction. And so the next day he comes back and he goes, somebody wrote a book about you,
That's awesome.
And it was just, that basic text is so awesome. I mean, I am in there. We're all in there. We can all relate. And, that basic text is, I still have that book. I have another one, but I still have that book, that they gave me. And when I told him to take it home, he told me he read it 3 times. And that's how my husband is. So he could understand, so he didn't miss anything. And I thought that was really awesome. He was being very supportive, and he was hurt. I really hurt him. That trust was totally gone, but, so anyhow, I stayed there for a week, but while I was in there was a guy from Narcotics Anonymous that came in. I didn't know who he was. All they said is they told me to go to this meeting. And this guy came in there and he shared a story. He was an addict. And at that time he had 23 years. And I couldn't imagine 23 years. I mean, it seemed like so long. I was just trying to make it through the day. And this guy's, I couldn't even fathom 23 years without taking pills, because I was so used to that. But I wanted what he had. His story was just, I couldn't believe the stuff that he went through. And he's clean. That's so awesome. And I just hung on his every word. So after the meeting, he told me it was an H&I meeting, and explained what that meant and all that. So he gave me a schedule, and he told me, he goes, it's good to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. And I was so scared to lose my husband, I would did anything, not to lose him. So when I got out, the first day I got out, it was just really scary. I was scared, because in there I was so protected. I didn't have to see anybody I didn't want to see. I didn't have to, I was just protected, and when I got out, it was really scary, really, really scary. And anyways, my husband, he went to the store, and my cell phone rang, and it was this guy I used to buy from. He goes, hey Mia, he goes, I got some pills. He goes, do you want some? And it was, I thought about it for a minute, and it's like, no, I'm done. And I told him, I said, no. I said, I don't want him. And I said, and lose my number. Don't ever call me again. And he never did. Talk about a test, and after I got out, I went through withdrawal for like about a month and a half, but like I was saying, I was ready to do whatever it takes to stay clean. Anyways, that guy gave me that meeting schedule. In Reno, there's lots of meetings. I went to like 3, and he goes, do 90 days, every day do a meeting for 90 days. Just one meeting, and I had that schedule, and I did every meeting on that schedule, 3 and 4 meetings a day, and the first meeting I walked into, well, actually, I was standing outside, and, and I was kind of scared, and I had all that shame, and I was standing outside, and the place they had this meeting was this huge office building, and I was standing outside smoking a cigarette, and this girl she walks up. She's kind of like from probably me to John. She goes, "Are you looking for the Narcotics Anonymous meeting?" Really loud. I was like, "Damn, you got to shout it out." You know, because I was ashamed. It's like, these people probably think that I'm shooting up or something. You know. And I told her, I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, come on." So I went into the meeting, and it was really awesome because people were walking up to me and they were hugging me, you know, and I didn't, you know, I was scared. I didn't, you know, really want anybody touching me, you know, but they were hugging me and stuff and welcoming me and everything. And they gave me a reading, and it was Who is an Addict. They wanted me to read that. And that's always the first reading in the meetings. And I read that and I cried through the whole thing. You know, I mean, I had a week clean, you know, and cried through the whole thing. I was like, wow, you know, and they did the rest of the readings and I listened and you know, but anyway, it was really profound, you know, listening to people share. And it was scary because there was a lot of rugged people in there, as I would say. I don't feel that way today. You know, there was bikers in there and scary people who just got out of prison, and you know, I was like, how scary, you know. I didn't want anybody sitting by me or, you know, because I used to alone, you know, I didn't hang out with, you know, with addicts, but I kept on going to the meetings, you know, and I listened, and you guys gave me hope. You know, you guys taught me so much, you know, just by your stories. I would hear all these stories of these people, and it's like, damn, if you guys can do it, then I can. You know, just really horrible stories, and then they'd be laughing at stuff they did, and I was like, gosh, how can you laugh about that? I'm not like that today because, you know, they are funny because I did some shit too, you know, but so I kept on coming back. They told me to go just keep on coming back. So when I got a month, you know, they said you need a sponsor and start working the steps and, you know, all these things. So this one lady, she was really nice to me, really nice, and she's the one that was telling me to get a sponsor, you know, and she goes, well, she kept asking me, do you have a sponsor? And I said, no, I don't really know anybody, you know. So she wanted to be my sponsor. So anyhow, the first time I met with her, all she talked about was pills. And you know, that was a trigger for me. It's like, why is this person talking about pills? Asking me the strengths and how much and how many, you know, all these things. And I was really uncomfortable because I'm going through withdrawal. You know, I'm about ready to ask her, well, do you have some? You know, because she was triggering me. And so I asked this guy, because I was always with the guys, you know, because I didn't trust the women because they'd hurt me and used me, you know, and so I didn't trust women. I didn't trust men either, but you guys, anyways. But so I asked this guy, you know, I was telling him about this lady, and he goes, she shouldn't be doing that, you know, that is not right at all. He told me to drop her, find somebody else. So then there was this a girl who shouted out, you know, Narcotics Anonymous at my first meeting. She became my sponsor, and she's my true sponsor. She's awesome, you know. No matter what I was going through or the way I was feeling, I could call her, and she had an answer for everything. You know, she really helped me a lot. And she was from Eugene, and she moved to Reno. But she was awesome. She had good recovery, and you know, she had clean time. You know, because I wanted a sponsor who had some time, you know, but had the recovery to back that up. because I'm the perfect person, right? I'm a perfectionist, so I have to have the perfect sponsor. They got to be just exactly what I want. But she was awesome. So anyhow, she was my sponsor for a couple 3 years, and she moved out of town, and so I got another sponsor, and she was a good sponsor, but she was, in the beginning, I had her for like 4 years, I think, and anyhow, I started working the steps with my sponsor, my second sponsor, and the first step is about surrender, and not having to fight anymore. And it felt so good to be, especially with my husband, to be honest and tell him exactly what was going on. I couldn't just say, I'm sorry. I could not just say those words, because those were empty words. I had to show him. I had to show him through action. I had to show him through working a good program and getting into service. When I got 30 days clean, I was the coffee maker for a meeting. That's where I started, and ever since I've been in the rooms, I've always done service. But I started those steps, and I was so sick of the game, so it was easy to surrender for me. When I did the second step, the second and third step, I had a really hard time with. It took me a long time to get through those steps. You come to believe in a power greater than ourselves to restore us to sanity. That was really, really hard for me. As far as, because I didn't trust, and I heard in the meetings, they were talking about a higher power, the God of your own understanding, a power that is greater than yourself. I heard that a lot, and then I heard the word God too, and I didn't trust any of it. I didn't believe, because all the things that had happened to me, especially, with all the people I have upstairs that I needed. And so anyhow, it took a long time. It took a long time for me to come to believe. And my sponsor, she told me to start writing in a journal. She will start journaling your thoughts every single day. And I was willing to do anything. So I did exactly what she told me to do. And then she told me she goes, are you praying? I said, no. And she goes, you need to start praying. And I go, I don't even know how to pray. She goes, every morning, I want you to drop to your knees and surrender. And I go, how do you pray? She goes, just start talking. She goes, act as if you believe. Act as if you believe. She goes, your higher power knows who you are. So I did what she said. I started doing that every morning before I started my day. And I was really high strung back in the day. I was really high strung. And I'm a nervous person. That's why I said, I'm going to have an anxiety attack, but I feel better now. But anyway, she told me to act as if. Act as if you believe. So I said, okay. So I just start dropping to my knees every morning and surrendering and talking to whoever was there, or whatever, And so I started doing that, and then I went to the third step, and it says, turn your will and your life over to the power of God as you understood him. And that was really hard for me. One thing on the first step when I surrendered, I knew that I had to surrender before I could even begin to recover. I knew that was so important for me. And then I never have to feel shitty again. And so anyway, when I got to the third step, it was so hard because I'm a controlling person. I'm not gonna turn my shit over to some whoever, whatever, and everything's gonna be all good, you know. So, you know, that took a long time for me to get through, you know, and my sponsor was always there with the right answers, with the right things to say, you know. So I tried it, you know, but it didn't happen all at once, you know, because it's my life and my will. So I did what she suggested, and I started to feel a little bit better inside, you know, because I knew that I was doing the right thing, and I started to feel a little bit more peace inside each time, you know, I was praying. And when I got to the fourth step, you know, I heard so many different things about it, good and bad. You know, people are like, oh, the fourth step, and then, you know, and then other people are saying, you know, you're gonna feel better. And how I did my steps was out of the flat book. I know Mike hates that word. You know, but my sponsor started me out on that, and you know, I love that book. You know, that book is awesome because it hits every area of your life, every aspect, writing. You know, I love that book. But anyway, so I started that fourth step, and I thought, well, this is gonna be easy. You know, I got this. I can do this. You know, I can do 12 steps in a year. You know, you guys know it doesn't work that way. But so, you know, I said my life wasn't that bad. You know, so I can do this. You know, and I started writing, and I just, when I'd start writing, I just couldn't stop. You know, I'd write when my husband was at work because I'd be crying. I didn't want to upset him, but I just couldn't stop writing. I had a notebook, and it was crazy how long it took me to do that fourth step. You know, I learned an important lesson though, is when I was writing on an area, I put it down for a couple weeks, and I started living that shit. Started living it, you know. And my sponsor told me, she goes, Mia, she goes, keep writing on that fourth step. She goes, because you will live it, because that's where your head is right now. And I got through that fourth step, you know, and it felt so good. It felt like a relief, you know. I didn't realize how much baggage and shit I was carrying around with me from like years and years ago. Just crap, you know. And I think the most part, and it always comes up when I do that step, is relationships. Because I distrust. I don't trust people, you know, and I always have trouble with the relationships. And so when I read it to my sponsor, I was kind of scared about it because I didn't want her to pass judgment on me. You know, because there was some stuff in there that I never told anybody. You know, secrets, because they say we're only as sick as our secrets. You know, and I had a secret, and I had been a secret for a long time. So she shared her stuff, you know, that she could relate, you know, and that was awesome. But it made me understand that fourth step, understand why I am the way I am, you know. And it felt so good just to get all that stuff out. And they say let go and let God, you know. That fourth step, uncover, discover, and discard, you know, that is so true, you know. And she told me, she goes, start praying, she goes, and let it go, you know. And each time I did that step, it started to go, you know, and I felt better. I started to feel human again. I started to feel like I could deal with things, you know. It took a long time for my husband to trust me again, you know, but he does have that fear, you know. He has that fear that of a relapse, you know. and that's okay. I'm okay with that because I put that fear there. Certainly not proud of it, and I knew that I had to forgive myself, and that was really hard. That was really, really hard for me to forgive myself. And for the most part, I have, but the pain and the pain that I caused my husband, I don't think I ever can, and I've accepted that, that's gonna, it's progress, not perfection, and I've learned a lot about myself in this program. I've learned so much from you guys. You guys, what's so awesome about this program was we're all the same. We have different stories, but we all know that same pain. We've all been there, done that, and when I started going to meetings, I didn't share much, because I was just listening to what everybody was saying, and I was like a sponge, and I asked my sponsor, I said, I used to bring a little book, and when somebody would share something that sounded, it touched my heart, is I would write it down, in my little book, and sometimes that bothered people. It's like I'm taking notes on them or whatever, but I used to just write stuff down, stuff I wanted to remember. KOS says you take what you need and leave the rest, and that's what I was doing. And I just, I like to do the steps. I like to write. And it was so funny, after we moved here, and I was putting my stuff away, going through all my stuff, is I found my old journals, from when I first got clean. And I was reading and was like, God, what a psycho. I mean, they sounded just crazy, but you guys, this program is awesome. Without this program, I wouldn't be here. And I know that. And I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful that I did find the God of my own understanding. And he cares about me and he loves me. And I found him in these rooms. I heard a speaker say, we're lucky because we get to live two lives in one lifetime. And that's so true. And when I first came in, I was very judgmental. I used to, especially with the women, I was so judgmental. It's like, she's a bitch, don't like her, and I would sit there and pass judgment on everybody, and then I wanted a man sponsor, it's like, why can't I have a man sponsor? And this girl laughed and she told me, she goes, you know why? She goes, because the men will slap your ass and the women will save your ass, and that is true, I guess, but I learned a lot from her. She had a really good recovery, and anyhow, my original clean date was 8/31/06. That's when I got clean. And my sponsor that I was telling you about, the third sponsor, she got in a car accident a long time ago, and she was getting up there in age. She was a good sponsor, but after a while, when I wanted to do steps with her, she was always canceling. I don't like that. It's like, I'm done, I'm ready, let's do it. That's how I am, so I can go on, And she kept on putting me off. All the time she was putting me off. And I thought, wow, and she had a surgery, and she had 24 years clean, but she relapsed. And it hurts. It hurt when someone relapses. You're close to, it hurts. And so I didn't have a sponsor for a while. And that really bothered me because I was sitting on a step, you know, and I like to do steps. I like to write. So the Just for Today book, I outlined that whole book, you know, because I needed to be fed my spirit. I was going to all kinds of meetings, went to a meeting about 2 meetings every day. You know, I was always at a meeting. At noon there was a meeting, and at 6:30 there was a meeting, and I was always there, you know. So meetings is not enough for me. I like the steps because that's where the recovery is. That's where you grow spiritually, you know. So I got stagnant for a little bit. I got complacent, and it did not feel good. So she sponsored another girl, my sponsor, the one that relapsed, and she's got really awesome recovery. You know, she's very into steps, you know, and she's strict, I guess you would say, but you know, if you don't work the steps, she won't even look at you. That's the kind of sponsor she is. So I asked her to, you know, and I prayed for a sponsor, you know, and she was always, I used to have meetings at my house, and she was always there. She was always in my face, you know, and so I asked her to sponsor me, and she's my sponsor today, you know. But what happened, I changed my clean date in 2011. It was in May. I was coming up on 5 years. I have like a neuropathy type thing in my feet, and my husband's a diabetic, and he takes medication for that. And I thought, well, I wonder if his pills will help me. They are non-narcotic, and so I took one, and it helped. And then the next day I took another one, you know, and it helped. And I didn't want to take any more, but something kind of bothered me a little bit, you know. So I was thinking, is this a relapse? I mean, did I just relapse? You know, and then I started feeling really bad about that. So I called my sponsor, and I told her, and I asked her if it was a relapse. And she goes, Mia, she goes, I can't tell you. I don't know if it's a relapse. And I remember my other sponsor, she told me that if the prescription does not have your name on it, it's a relapse. It doesn't matter if it's a narcotic or not. And the pills that I took was not a narcotic, but it did not have my name on it. And so I went to a meeting and I shared about it, and I felt horrible. I mean, it felt like I just took a whole bottle of pills. That's how it felt, you know. And anyway, a lot of people said I was crazy for changing my clean date. You know, they go, Mia, it's not even a relapse. You know, you didn't get loaded, you know. And then I had somebody over here saying, wow, that's really awesome. You know, that could help a lot of people. So anyway, I really, really struggled with that in my head. So, you know, I changed my clean date over it. But then I was pissed off. I was like, I didn't get fucking loaded. And, you know, I was pissed off, and then I was actually thinking about going down and getting some pills because it wasn't real. You know, I was thinking, oh, this shit isn't real. I'm gonna go get me some pills, and then it will be a relapse. But I didn't do that either. You know, and then someone said, you know, that's really awesome, Mia, because it's about working an honest program. So my new clean date, I shouldn't say my new clean date. So I changed my clean date to 5/22/11. So I'm coming up on 7 years. You know, but in reality, I should be September. I should have 12 years. But you know, it's all about being honest. It's all about working an honest program. You know, and I can't believe I've taught this long. You know, and moving up here, it was really hard for me. It was, you know, change. You know, guys, we don't like change. You know, it was really hard. but it was the right thing because, I prayed about it to my higher power and everything fell into place. Everything fell into place. And they say when it's a struggle, it's not right. Your higher power doesn't want that. We sold our house in a week. We came up here and didn't know a soul except for the realtors. We found a house and started doing the thing. And I told my husband, I said, there's 3 things I need, when we get to Salem. I said, I need a fellowship, this fellowship, and a fellowship, and I do church because that works for me. I said, I need a church, and I hope they have a place to play bingo because I like bingo. And and it was all here. And then plus there's a casino. If I get homesick, I go to the casino, and it's like, wow, I'm back in the culture. You know what I'm saying? And you guys have everything. And the first woman I met is sitting right in front of me, Melody. Went to a meeting at the SOS Club, and she walked up and introduced herself, and she's been my friend ever since. And then I met Mike, and I thought, wow, he's kind of scary. But it was really hard. The change for me was really hard. I missed my family. I missed my fellowship because I'm used to a huge room full of a lot of people, a lot of meetings. They have meetings all day long there, And here it's not like that because it's a lot smaller, But I'm grateful. I'm grateful to my higher power for bringing us here because I have friends now. I have a support group down there, and I have a support group here. I do a lot of Celebrate Recovery. Ever since I've been clean, I've always been in service. There was one time when I had 6 months clean. I think I had like 6 service commitments. That's how bad I wanted it. What I learned is I got clean for my husband, but I stay clean for me. Otherwise it wouldn't work. It has to be for me. And this program has a lot to offer. We do recover, we do get better. That's my favorite reading, is We Do Recover. I love that reading because we do. A lot of people think that, the people out there, there's all kinds of people who should be in here. They just haven't gotten caught yet. Or whatever. It's like, stay fucked up. I was so spiritually bankrupt. And today I don't feel that way. I work in on this program, and I do what I need to do to take care of me, and I know how to do it. If I start feeling shitty or whatever, I go right back to the basics. It's like, where's my basic text? Where's my sponsor? I still have my sponsor in Reno. She's awesome. I love her. She comes up here in February, and I meet with her and we do STEP. And then she gives me an assignment, and then I go down there for the convention in Reno in November, and we go over another STEP, and if I miss her, we do it over the phone, but she's awesome. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful, you guys. I hope that you guys heard something you needed to hear. If I'm so glad I calmed down, but I spoke at a convention in Reno, and there was tons of people, and I said it's about one addict helping another. If I helped one person out of 1,000 people, that's all that matters. Because this program works if you work it. If it didn't, we wouldn't even be here. We would not be here. We'd be out there still. And I'm grateful for everything I have learned. for my recovery, and I know I do something for my recovery every day. I still do. I have to pray in the morning. Every single day I have to pray so I can get centered and focused in my recovery and surrender and ask for my higher power for guidance. A couple days ago I met with a lady, and her husband passed away, and she's been drinking at night, you know, and we talked a lot, and you know, I told her, I said, I go to NA, you know, and I said, it doesn't matter. I said, alcohol's a drug. It doesn't matter how we took our drugs, you know, whether we ate it, smoked it, chewed it, snorted, whatever. It's all the same, you know, and she didn't understand. She couldn't understand, you know, I said, you need to surrender. And she goes, what does that mean? And I told her, I said, it means not having to fight anymore. You know, surrender to your disease, because you have a disease, you know, but she's doing the thing, you know, and she's texting me every night, you know. She's a closet drinker, but, you know, it makes you feel good when you can help somebody, to help another suffering addict. Because you guys helped me when I was suffering. And when I got 6 months clean, as I started doing H&I, that was my forte. I've been in H&I forever, because, you know, it's my way of giving back, because that's where I heard the message of recovery. That's where I heard NA. Always done H&I. Since I've been up here, I haven't been in service. I have sponsees in Nevada. I have sponsees in Celebrate Recovery. You know, I do some service there. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to share my story with you. Boy, I must have went on and blah, blah. But thank you guys so much for listening. And I hope you heard something that keeps you coming back. Anyhow, thank you.
Yeah.